Good afternoon, everybody. We are coming to you live for a little lunch and learn on Friday. What do you have to eat today, Brooke?
I got nothing. Because I was afraid someone was going to mention poop. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm excited to be here today to do a little learning over lunch. And my name is Roger Morgan. I'm the founder and CEO of Pawtree. And with me is Brooke Sloat, our Director of Product Development. And mighty, we have an interesting topic today. This is what I think all of us, three initials that we have all heard over and over and over. I'm sure, even if it's with respect to human, products or potentially pet products, but the three initials CBD, and it's a hot topic. We've seen it out there. There's a lot. It's a little bit of a wild west. Sometimes it can feel like in CBD. Lots to learn, lots to question, and lots of potential impact in terms of a positive way. CBD for health. And so today we are going to talk about it. We're going to tackle CBD, and I think by the end of this short little lunch and learn, I think all of us will be empowered with more knowledge, more information, and feel better as pet parents to make some informed decisions. That's my hope and my belief. So with that, Brooke, why don't we dive in? I know it's been a buzzword, in the human pet, in the human space for a while, and the pet space. What is CBD, and how can it help our pets?
Okay. So I am going to try and simplify this for us, but this topic, the CBD topic, can be very confusing because there are lots of new terms that many of us just haven't heard before. So it may take a few times about hearing about CBD before you completely understand it. And I just want to mention that because I don't want anyone to feel bad about that. This is confusing. Okay. And, some of these words, it's going to get a little scientific here for a moment, but I assure you, you're going to feel much more comfortable after this chat. So simply put, CBD is the abbreviation for the word cannabidiol. Cannabidiol. Okay. But because cannabidiol is a little bit harder to say, we're just going to refer to it as just CBD. Okay. And CBD is a cannabinoid. And it's one of many phytocannabinoids, which are, you can call it cannabinoids or cannabinoids. So you'll hear me switching that back and forth sometimes. But phytocannabinoids are cannabinoids that are found in plants. Plants are phyto. Okay, so phytocannabinoids. So CBD is a cannabinoid, and it's also a phytocannabinoid that's found in plants. Okay. Phytocannabinoids are simply compounds that are found in the cannabis sativa plant, which is where hemp comes from. In our case, we're talking about the hemp plant, and scientists have identified over 150 of these compounds found in hemp oil. CBD is just one of them. Okay, so for perspective, some other phytocannabinoids that you'll find in the plant would be CBG and CBN and CBC and CBDA, and we mentioned CBD, and something called THC cannabinoids as well. Okay, but there are, as I said, over 150 of them, so I'm not going to sit and name them all, but I just, our focus is on CBD. Our focus will also be, we're going to also talk about THC. Okay.
Okay.
Different cannabinoids help with different issues. And we'll mainly talk about CBD, which is one of the largest cannabinoids found in the hemp plant, meaning that there's more CBD than any other cannabinoid molecule that's found in the hemp plant.
And I know we're going to get into, you'll share with us some of the reasons why and the ways to kind of cut through the clutter of all the different things that people are saying about CBD and help us, empower us to make, good decisions and kind of know what to look for and what questions to ask. But before we dive into all that, what are, just to help some of us who maybe don't know, we've heard of CBD, but we're not maybe consumers or educated in that topic. What are some of the health benefits of CBD?
Okay, so CBD is touted for many health benefits, and for our pets, so I'm going to focus on our pets. These benefits are helping to relieve anxiety. So for our pets, that would mean, if they have separation anxiety when you leave them at home alone, and they chew on your furniture or destroy your pillows.
Yeah.
They have anxiety from storms or fear of fireworks. They get motion sickness from travel. They get anxious around when going to the vet or the groomer, or when boarded, or around strangers, like, workers in your home or friends that aren't over often, or parties that you might have. So that's an example. Yeah. CBD also helps to relieve aches and discomfort or soreness from everyday activities. So playing at the dog park, going for a long walk or hike, jumping on or off furniture, just playing around in the house or outside in the yard. Helping with age-related mobility issues would be another. Okay. Supporting a normal inflammatory response, supporting a healthy gut, and a healthy immune system. So those are the key things that I would say we would focus on for CBD with our pets.
It's interesting because those are the key things, but there were a lot of things. So it is. You can see why it's a topic that that people are really excited about and really kind of charged up about when you think about all the ways CBD can help our body systems. Again, we're focused on pets, but also can be a little scary because that there's some bad actors and some maybe some things that we're not sure are true or not out there. And so we'll hopefully answer those things today, at least give people a lot more confidence. But so that's good, I think, as a kind of a level setting to help us know what is it that this is going to help with, what does CBD help with. Now, maybe I know we're not going to take a science class here today, but maybe you could just give just a high level of how does CBD work?
Okay. So all mammals that have a vertebrae, okay, so humans and dogs and cats, we all have this internal system that self-regulates overall balance or homeostasis in the body so that the body functions at an optimal level. This internal system is called the endocannabinoid system, and it reacts in response to environmental changes, okay? So again, it's all about balance, all right? So an easy example of this balance is it's hot outside and your internal temperature rises and your body wants to bring that temperature down. So we as humans, we sweat, which lowers our temperature and it brings our body back in balance. If, I'm being very simplistic here, if that's the only thing that's out of balance, and usually it's way more than that, but that's just a simple example that you can think about, right? Now for a dog, they don't really sweat like we do, so instead they pant to bring their bodies back in balance with regard to bringing their temperatures down. And bringing your bodies back in balance, the term for it is maintaining homeostasis, okay? Now, the body uses cannabinoids to maintain homeostasis, and our bodies, as well as our dogs and cats' bodies, naturally produce cannabinoids for use in the endocannabinoid system, okay? And that's again, the internal system that self-regulates overall balance or homeostasis, right, in our bodies. But if our bodies don't produce enough of these cannabinoids, causing our bodies to be deficient in cannabinoids, or we don't have sufficient cannabinoids, that can lead to disease or dis-ease. Ultimately, you don't have homeostasis, right? So what scientists have found, which is really interesting, is that phytocannabinoids, so the cannabinoids from plants, not the ones that we make, right? Phytocannabinoids like CBD found in the hemp plant have a similar chemical structure to the body's endocannabinoids, which is what we produce or dogs or cats produce naturally. Right. And they're able to influence many of the body's systems for maintaining health and homeostasis. So because the chemical structure is similar, it's able to bond or connect with the body's receptors called CB1 and CB2, and I'm not going to get into what those are exactly, but what that is, think of it like this. Think of it like a key. If you don't have the right key for the right lock, the lock won't turn. These phytocannabinoids from the hemp plant these are the right keys for these receptor locks. So they work as well as the cannabinoids that we make ourselves, but we're able to supplement, if you will, from the hemp plant.
Yeah, naturally occurring hemp plant in nature, but in a way that it connects to our body system. It's a fascinating, I mean, it really is fascinating. And, you know, I know that this is a topic that many have been on the forefront for several years. And we'll get into, you know, kind of the legalities shortly, because I think it's important for people to know. But one other question on, I guess, kind of, I don't know if it's really science, but helping us just kind of understand the context here of how it works. I've heard a term used before called the entourage effect.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay. So to understand the entourage effect, we need to understand the primary forms that CBD comes in. Okay. And then I'll explain that. So first, there's something called isolate, and isolate contains only CBD compounds, no other cannabinoids, and no THC. Okay. There's broad spectrum hemp oil, which is what we use in our supplements. And broad spectrum means that it contains a wide range of phytocannabinoids, including CBG, CBC, CBN, the CBD, plus many others, right, that I told you about. There's over 150 of these compounds in hemp oil, right? Okay. And broad spectrum hemp oil also includes other compounds derived from the hemp plant. These examples of these are terpenes and flavonoids. And again, I will do a much deeper dive, you know, at a later date. I just want you guys to just understand the basics. But broad spectrum hemp oil does not contain any THC. Okay, so you've got isolate, only CBD, broad spectrum hemp oil, which contains many of the molecules of cannabinoids, including CBD, but zero THC. And then there's something called full spectrum hemp oil. And this has all the major phytocannabinoids that we talked about, like broad spectrum does, but they also, full spectrum contains THC. It does contain THC. At no more than the federally legal limit of 0.3%, but it does have that compound in it.
And that THC is, well, I'll get to that. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt.
Let me just finish up on, so the entourage effect. Okay, now you know the 3 ways that you can get CBD. Okay. Yep. The entourage effect is the term that's used to explain the benefit of why the therapeutic impact of the whole plant is greater than any of its component parts acting independently. So you're getting all the phytocannabinoids and the terpenes and the flavonoids. You're getting the impact of the whole plant, not just the CBD. And that's really, really meaningful.
Gotcha. Okay, that is huge. That really does make a lot of sense. And you can see why the term, when people say, oh, I have a CBD product, it could mean one of 100 things. And it really, you know, this is a perfect example. I know we sometimes talk about with pet food that, you know, beef isn't beef isn't beef, and chicken isn't chicken isn't chicken. You know, you can get a filet mignon, or you can get ground hamburger, and the quality is different. And it's kind of like this with CBD, and maybe even more so because of everything you just explained. It really is. It's not one size fits all. And when somebody says I have a CBD product, it doesn't mean it's the same as a different CBD product. I do want to just take a quick little bit of a deep dive on 3 initials you said a few times, which is THC. I think this is really important for people to understand. What does that do? And, you know, do you want THC or you don't want THC when you're talking about products for your pets? Okay.
Great question. And this is also very confusing. So THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. Tetrahydrocannabinol. We will never say that word again. It's THC. That's what everybody refers to it as. Okay. THC is also a cannabinoid. But THC produces a different reaction in the body. It gives a psychoactive effect. It's the stuff that makes you high. It's the stuff that's found in high amounts in marijuana. Marijuana can have 5 to 35% THC content. THC is not found in broad spectrum hemp oil, which is what we use, okay? And that's what you should use with your pets because it will not make them high. There is THC in the full spectrum hemp oil. We would not recommend you using that for your pets, okay? We do not want any THC. We want not even the legal limit of 0.3%. We want 0%, okay?
Wonderful. I think that's huge to know. And honestly, I do appreciate, I'm looking at some of these comments and I appreciate, I know everybody does, how you're simplifying this to help. I know you've spent a lot of time researching and studying and learning all of these with lots of wonderful support from very technical people, and you're really helping simplify this for us. So thank you. This is really wonderful. I think this is a great session for anybody who's considering CBD for pets. So CBD, if I kind of summarize, CBD helps the body maintain homeostasis or balance. You talked about keeping things in balance. Yeah. And so now can we kind of drill in a little bit on how does keeping the body in balance help our pets?
Okay. So you'll notice that I don't mention any disease names, right? So I kind of mention things that we can talk about. We cannot talk about anything to do with diseases, okay? But we can talk in other terms. So if you're wondering, well, why is she, mentioning this or in a roundabout way? Anyway, it's just because it's how we're able to communicate, according to the FDA. So when our pets don't have a normal inflammatory response in their joints, that can result in joint issues for our pets, right? If they don't have a normal inflammatory response in their muscles, that can result in soreness or achiness or discomfort, like after a long walk. When they don't have a normal inflammatory response in their brain, that can result in anxiety. And CBD can help with all of these issues, okay? So we just introduced 3 new supplements for Pottery. We have our joint support. I have them here. Give me a second. We have our joint support CBD. We have our aches away CBD. So joint support would be for issues with our, with joint health. Aches away would be for, I jumped off the couch wrong. It's it's not an all the time thing, but it's something you want to have in your arsenal in case, because that could be a very expensive trip to the vet hospital if you can't, get them to feel a little bit better. And we have our Chillax CBD. And that's for anxiety issues. Okay. So those are the 3 products that we've just recently introduced. And we even have our Chillax to the Max. Oh goodness, hang on. Let's see if I have one here. Yes. We even have our Chillax to the Max CBD bone. And this is really, really cool. This bone, these products work fabulously, right? Okay. But this bone is very interesting because when they are upset, okay, and they are anxious or they are home alone, whatever it is, what we say is, when they're stressed out, throw them a bone, the Chillax to the Max bone, because this bone is coated with CBD and actually a mint flavoring to it. And they can chew on this instead of chewing on your furniture and chewing on your walls and your doors and things like that. Okay. So this is a really nice thing to also throw in the mix to keep them occupied. Okay. So those are the items that we have for, that we just recently introduced. And think of these supplements with the added CBD as supercharged. They're going to take your pet's health to the next level because you're getting the CBD in addition to the other active ingredients that are going to help your pet's condition. So that's really, really big because we're not giving you a tincture of CBD. We're not just giving you oil and saying add it. We're giving you the oil that does, certain things, in the chew. We're also giving you, glucosamine and chondroitin and MSM. We're giving you so many different things to attack things in a multimodal level and make sure your pet is feeling their best.
It's wonderful. I can tell you, I mean, we literally, let's see, today is Friday. It was a week ago today that we launched these new products, these CBD products. And it's been an overwhelming response. The number of people who have been excited about trying these and have ordered them. And it really is, you know, it's when you have a pet that has one of these needs that you've talked about, Brooke, as we all probably can relate to, you just want to help them, and you just want to do anything you can to, you know, to ease their, you know, either their worries, their stress, or anxiety, or their pain or discomfort that they're in. And these are wonderful. I can, you know, not only speak from my own personal experience, but it's been wonderful to see the response. I think we've really got something here that is, you know, it's trending. Not trendy, but it's trending, and it's very, and for good reason, and you know, in terms of its efficacy.
Yeah, it works.
It works. I do want to go back though for a moment to, you know, we talked about all CBD is not the same, right? And we're never one, whether it's with our products, with our food, or our treats, or our nutritional supplements. We don't, you know, we never bash any other brand. There's a lot of, you know, great companies out there trying to do the right thing, and most of them probably do the right thing, and some maybe intentionally or unintentionally don't do the right thing. But when it comes to CBD, there really is a massive range of what you might get when you think you're getting CBD. And I think it's important to empower pet parents to know what to look for and how they can do their best to assess that for themselves, so that they're actually getting you know, what they think they're getting, and doing what they think they're doing for their pets. So can you talk a little bit about, you know, how our CBD is different, why we're so confident with our CBD, you know, versus some other things that you may find on the market?
Absolutely. This is really, really important. Okay. So as Roger said, not all CBD is the same. And in sourcing CBD, we found that the CBD that we were receiving in wasn't testing at the low THC level that we required. Remember, we said we want 0%, 0.0%, not even the 0.3, okay? And there was actually a recent study done, and only 18 out of 29 CBD products that are in the market that were tested were actually labeled appropriately. So what that means is 11 of these products were much higher in THC, and THC is not good for your pets. It's actually toxic for them, you guys. So you really, really need to be careful about that. That's why broad spectrum or isolate would be your better choices. Absolutely not full spectrum, which contains THC. Okay, so what we learned is that this higher THC can be the result of cross-pollination between marijuana plants, which are high in THC. As you know, marijuana will make you high and gives you that psychoactive effect of making you high. So there's cross-pollination between the marijuana plants and the hemp plants. And what that does is it results in a higher THC level in the hemp plant. So in order to remove the THC, the CBD needs to be heavily processed. And you don't want to heavily process anything. You want pure, right? So the right CBD supplier is key. And we were finding this over and over and over again with sourcing in the US. So,
and Brooke, could I just interject with a question? You mentioned that broad spectrum is the preferred approach, but these tests that were run to look at THC levels, and where it was identified that, you know, many of those labels were not labeled correctly with respect to the THC. That could even happen with broad spectrum as well, right? So just because you think you're getting broad spectrum, which should be low in THC, at least in the study that was performed, doesn't show that it always is the case. Is that
100%? Okay? Yeah, that's exactly right, Roger. Yeah, very good.
Part of what I think is challenging in the space for all of us as pet parents, right? Because you want to feel good about what you're doing. You want to believe in what you're providing. And for some of the reasons Brooke's talking about here, cross-pollination, other things, you know, even if companies have good intentions, there's the CBD world is it's more complicated than I think it appears on the surface. There's a lot to kind of dig in, and we appreciate that you've dug in, Brooke. So tell us a little bit about the supplier that we have identified for our source of CBD as one of the ingredients in our CBD product.
Absolutely. And I just want to add one point. We're talking about this with CBD and, having to process out THC, if, potentially in the full spectrum. But this is also the same with any ingredient that you get. Okay. Not all beef is the same beef. Not all chicken is the same chicken. I mean, we have more controls over that because, we've been dealing with that for quite a while, but not everything is the same. That's why we talk about quality a lot, because quality is a big deal. And that's the bucket we have to kind of put all this in. But, I just want you guys to feel comfortable that we are doing the homework for you. And you certainly ask questions, 100%. But this took a while to find a great source. And so what we've done, getting back to who our source is, we source from our CBD from a 5th generation family-owned hemp farm in Western Europe. And you might say, well, why? Why would you do that? And no, I didn't get to take a trip to Western Europe to find these people. But the reason we chose this particular farm is because they have very stable crops. They've been cultivating this farm for generations, right? And also the agricultural guidelines in Europe are very different from in the US. So for instance, they don't use pesticides or chemicals there. There's no cross-pollination of the plants, which results in a more pure oil. There's no heavy processing. We don't want that. We don't want to have to heavily process to remove THC. We want as pure, as raw as we can get, right? The CBD that we use is nutritionally dense and naturally low in that THC. No cross-pollination, cultivated, for generations. We're getting that very, very low 0.0% THC. It's also certified organic in Europe. Now, this is a different certification than in the US, but it's still meaningful, okay? It's also GMO-free, and all raw materials are tested as well as the finished product to make sure you're getting what we say you're getting. These are quality products, and that we will give our pets all the benefits of quality CBD without the psychoactive effects of THC. Your pets will not get high, and that is absolutely key.
Fantastic. So I want to clarify something, and then I've got a question here I'd like to share with you, Brooke, which is around the question is about kind of when to use a CBD version versus one of our non-CBD versions of products. So, but before we go to that question, I wanted to clarify, the source, finding a source in Western Europe for the CBD, that's one ingredient among many in the CBD chillax or the CBD XOA or the CBD joint support product. And so although that ingredient is sourced from Western Europe, the product is still made in the USA and satisfies the need or the claim that we make on all of our products. All of our nutrition products satisfy the made in the USA claim, which is really important to us as well. So we can find wonderful, individual ingredient suppliers to contribute, a fantastic ingredient, but it's one of many. And by the time you put it all together, it still does satisfy that need to be made in the USA, which we think is very important.
Right. Yeah. There's a certain percentage that you have to satisfy of all the materials that you make. It's not just that we make it here in a plant in the United States. That doesn't satisfy everything. Yeah.
So on this topic, Brett asks, why or when would you recommend the non-CBD version of the product over the CBD version of the product, or vice versa?
So we created a chart that should be in your back office now that kind of will help to explain that. But for instance, okay, so if this is a first time that you're noticing it with your pets, you could try either. Okay, it depends on the severity. If it's truly, truly severe, where they are just panting and pacing, let's just use chillax for a moment. Okay, they're panting and pacing. It's going to storm, and they're just upset, and they're drooling, and you just can't get them to calm down. You could try the regular one first if you want to, if money is an issue, because there's definitely a cost difference between them. So if money's an issue, you could try the regular chillax. If someone's a CBD enthusiast, you might want to go right to the regular, because you get just so much more in your body, it just supercharges everything in your body. So you're getting a lot of benefit from that CBD. So it really just kind of depends. I mean, there's many issues. And as I said, there's a chart that kind of gives you some guidelines, and I don't have that out right now, but for the most part, you may,
both obviously work. We've had the non-CBD version in our line for over, I guess, for a year, and with fabulous reviews. So certainly it works. But the CBD, I like the words that you said, Brooke, supercharged. And obviously, CBD is expensive, and so or more expensive. It's you get what you pay for, and it's fabulous. So those are good guidelines. I think it's helpful for people to know there's not a black and white, right and wrong, right? It's not like, if the pet's showing these symptoms, then this one, or those symptoms, that one. It's a choice, and we want you to have a choice for those who are excited about using CBD, or maybe you've used it for yourself. Now you've got an option for your pet. And for those who are not, you've got a wonderful option in the non-CBD version as well. So
yeah, if your pet, if you've tried the non-CBD version and it's worked, but maybe not completely, and your pet still has some residual issues, try the CBD version, right? There's no risk. You can try what you want to try. I will also tell you that I found personally, with our chillax, my dogs will eat, they love all of this stuff. Okay. But with the non-CBD version of the chillax, when my dog, Ginger, is in that mode of anxiety, if I haven't given it to her 30 minutes or an hour or whatever beforehand, I'm not going to get it in her, and so she's going to suffer. What I found with the CBD version is if that storm sneaks up on us, she actually will take that even in that mode. There's something about it. I'm trying to figure it out, because there's something about what we're coding and doing with that particular chew that they just love. It's all of the CBD chews, actually.
Wonderful. Well, Brooke, I know we're at the top of the hour. I would like to ask, because it's a broad topic with so much rich information. You've done a wonderful job helping simplify, for us. I think anybody who watches this 30-second or 30-minute segment is going to feel empowered. I know, I certainly do. This is a topic that can be a little bit overwhelming, and I think you've really done a great job, simplifying it for us. Is there anything else that you feel it would be helpful for us to know before we wrap this live up?
Yeah, a couple things. I think it's good practice to take the recommended daily dose and administer it twice a day. So split it up and administer it twice a day. So if you're supposed to give 2 chews, split it up and give 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. And the reason for that is to keep the CBD constantly in their system, because CBD is affected by the metabolism. So if it's metabolized and it gets out of their system, it doesn't help as much. So splitting up that dosage is really good. For our CBD supplements, that would apply mostly to the Joint Support Plus, because that's an everyday issue as opposed to Aches Away, which might be used on an as-needed basis, right? And you should always start at a lower dose and see how your pet is affected before increasing the dose. Okay. Remember, our supplements have that multimodal effect that I talked about, which means that we not only use the CBD, but other active ingredients that work synergistically together to help alleviate all of your pet's issues. So for the Joint Support Plus CBD, we also include the glucosamine and chondroitin, to promote the thick viscous joint fluid, and MSM to manage aches and discomfort, and the hemp seed oil and hemp seed powder for their nutrition, and the omega-3 fatty acids. So it's not just CBD that you're getting and giving. You're combining it with many other active ingredients that help with many other things that all together will really make your pets feel much better.
Really fabulous, Brooke. It really goes back to something I can attest to as the founder of the company, that whenever we launch a nutritional supplement, we take the approach of this multimodal approach, which you just described beautifully. Certainly there's CBD oil available on the market, which is very expensive, but people could buy CBD oil and just give the oil. But what we've done in this product is formulate it with a whole host of ingredients that all work synergistically in that multimodal approach to deliver the best results. And you've done a great job outlining that. Well, thank you very much. We've had a wonderful lunch and learn today with Brooke. Thank you, Brooke, for taking the time. I hope we've empowered more pet parents to make good decisions when it comes to CBD and how you kind of cut through all the noise out there and make the right decision for you and your pet family. Thank you for taking the time, and we will see you back next week. We'll have another lunch and learn. I think next week we'll be on Instagram.
No, actually, I think next week we're back on Facebook.
Okay. All right. We'll see you right back here next week. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.